Hello and welcome to the video. It's time to predict the bracket round for the NBA Cup. The first games in this round are starting tonight. I believe there's going to be the Bucks and Magic, as well as the Thunder and Mavs going on tonight. And then tomorrow it'll be Knicks, Hawks, and Rockets, Warriors. So to look back at the predictions I made before the group stage started, I actually did have the Rockets and the Warriors in here, but I had them both losing first round. The Lakers have gone on a bit of a skid, and then I was also not expecting Jokic to be gone for 3 games, including 2 of the first group stage games, which kind of just put us in a hole right from the very beginning. And then couple that with the Aaron Gordon injury, and then also the Nuggets just not playing very well, especially recently. I'd say that's what went wrong there. Just giving myself a little bit of copium, I guess. But over in the East, I also had the Knicks correct, but the Celtics and Cavs somehow didn't make it in, even though they're the 2 best teams in the NBA thus far. I guess it's just in the cup games for those 2 teams that things haven't broken the same way. And the Pacers have been honestly pretty disappointing so far this season. So yeah, the Magic, Bucks, and Hawks are the other teams that actually did make it in the East, and then the Mavericks and the Thunder over in the West. So I guess I'll just predict these in the order in which the games are going to happen. So like I said, I believe the East game, I'm guessing, is first, because that's just the way the universe works with the East and West Coast time difference. So Bucks versus Magic. Bucks started off this season really terribly, but really turned it around for a good stretch there. I believe are back below 500 now, I want to say, though. Or no, scratch that. They're actually a game above 500. And as far as injuries go, looks like Giannis is day-to-day, but returning tonight. Same with Chris Middleton. But then with the Magic, they've got a lot of injuries. Obviously, the Paolo Banchero injury that happened earlier this season, he's not supposed to be reevaluated until a week from now. And then Franz Wagner, even a couple weeks after that, is when he'll be reevaluated for very oddly the same exact injury, which isn't like a super common one. I mean, obviously it happens, but a torn oblique, especially the right side, to their 2 best players, which is kind of odd. But with the Magic, after Banchero went out, Franz Wagner took a huge leap up, and the Magic still were going on a tear, winning like almost every game. They're actually 17-9 right now with the 3rd seed, but I'd be very surprised if they're able to still continue that even with their 2nd best player out as well, who really became like the fulcrum, the offensive engine of their team after Banchero went down. Without both of them, I guess things are running through Jalen Suggs and Cole Anthony, but the tough thing about this is it is just a 1-game scenario. Anything could happen. Anybody could win 1 game, but I'm just gonna have to go with the logic on this one and take the Bucks, who are at full strength basically, other than Giannis and Chris Middleton being at least a little bit banged up, but should be returning. I think they have the clear advantage there. And then over here in the West, Thunder's another team that have continued to play very well despite their injuries. Luckily, not too long after Chet went down, they were able to get Isaiah Hartenstein to have his Thunder debut, and he's been playing well there at the center spot, averaging like 12, 13, and 5. And as far as their health, looks like Jalen Williams, the Arkansas Jalen Williams, is still going to be out for over another week, as well as Ousmane Dieng. And obviously Chet isn't going to be back for any of the NBA Cup at all. So, these 2 guys are the only ones that could hypothetically come back and make a little bit of a difference. But, they're not missing a ton without them, other than kind of Jalen Williams, who just helps out with, their lack of depth at the big spot. And the Mavericks, after a slow start to the season, have turned it around for sure, looking more like a contender. But they have their own injuries as well, with Najee Marshall, who apparently is supposed to return tonight. Same with PJ Washington. But then Jaden Hardy and Maxi Kleber are supposed to be out until Saturday, hypothetically. If they do make it out of the first round and into the semifinal round, they would be available then. That's the plan, at least. And this is actually a rematch from the playoffs last year in the 2nd round, which Dallas got the best of OKC in that series. But OKC is really young, feisty, I think really cares about stuff like that. Might come back with an extra, vengeance in this game. So I'm going to slightly favor OKC, but that one is definitely a tough one. Then back over here in the East for tomorrow night's game, the Knicks and the Hawks. The Knicks have been one of the best offenses in the league so far, and not that great on defense, which is very uncharacteristic of a Tom Thibodeau coached team. Oh, they're actually number 1 in offense, excuse me, according to Cleaning the Glass, at least, which filters out garbage time, and it looks like they're 17th on defense. So definitely a little surprising for sure, considering who's coaching that team. The addition of Cat does make that make sense a little bit. Obviously more of an offensive piece than a defensive piece, and also them being without Mitchell Robinson this entire season so far, which is their greatest source of rim protection by a large margin. He's not supposed to be back till January 1st, it looks like. The Knicks are currently 4th in the East right now, 15-9. The Hawks are actually the 7th seed, 13-12. I think they won like 4 or 5 in a row, I want to say, maybe even more than that not too long ago. But they are coming off a big loss against the Denver Nuggets, 30-point win, which the Nuggets desperately needed. But to be fair, Atlanta was shorthanded without Jalen Johnson and someone else that I can't remember off the top of my head. Oh yeah, Bogdan Bogdanovic. But they are both set to return by tomorrow night's game, which is going to be big for sure. The Hawks have honestly been a bit of a surprise for me this year, especially with Trae Young taking a bit of a delegation role, incorporating others into the offense more. I think has helped them out tremendously. Jalen Johnson has continued his upward trend that he started last year. And then Zachary Risache, the first pick in this year's draft. Even though he hasn't shot very well so far this season, like at all, I think he's still been making some really good team plays, to be honest. I kind of like him as a role player. Obviously not what you would expect out of the first pick in the draft, you know, in most years, but I do think he's going to end up being a winning player for them, if I'm being honest, and he's a good rotation piece right now. So, and also another thing that cannot be understated is DeAndre Hunter's transition to taking a bench role this season has been huge for them. Now they have like literally 2 6 man of the year candidates in Bogdan Bogdanovic and DeAndre Hunter. It makes the Hawks depth something that is actually kind of more scary now, when in the past it was not that much of a strength, to be honest, that they had so much depth. It was more of like a bit of a redundancy, but now with guys fitting into the right lineups and, you know, fitting into the right spots in the rotation, coming off the bench or starting, I think things are starting to click quite a bit more for this Atlanta squad. And that's why I'm going to lean Atlanta on this. I don't feel great about it because the Knicks are playing so well, and the Knicks were literally the pick that I made for winning the entire thing before the group stage begun. But I think the Hawks are kind of rolling right now, and I think they might be like the Pacers of last year, you know, in the in-season tournament or NBA Cup, whatever you want to call it. And obviously I know this is a bit of an upset. You know, I know that New York has been the far superior team this season and definitely should be favored in the betting odds. This isn't exactly who I'm picking should be favored. It's more of just kind of trying to guess what will happen, and I'm just taking a bit of a zag here with the Atlanta Hawks. I'm guessing that they're going to upset this one game scenario and get the win over the Knicks. Then back over here in the Western Conference, the last game of the first round, which is going to be between the Houston Rockets and the Golden State Warriors, which are both teams that have gotten off to very good starts this season. The Rockets currently the 3 seed at 16-8, and the Warriors are currently the 5 at 14-9. Golden State Warriors obviously without DeAnthony Melton for the rest of the season, which was a huge bummer when he tore his ACL earlier this year. And then they've got Andrew Wiggins and Moses Moody both set to return for tomorrow night's game. And Houston Rockets, same thing. The 2 guys on their injury report, Tari Eason and Fred VanVleet, also set to return for the game tomorrow. I think the Rockets have been on more of an upward trend recently for sure than the Warriors have been. And also I think I kind of favor youth for the most part. I have thus far, at least, other than with the Magic, but obviously it's a different scenario with them missing their best 2 players. But I've been favoring youth in this NBA Cup setting, so I'm going to continue that pattern or that line of thinking for this one as well and take the Rockets out of the first round. So that brings us to the semifinals. Over here in the East we have Bucks, Hawks, and I think I'm just going to continue this Cinderella story here and move Atlanta into the championship game, which I believe both the semifinals and the finals are both going to be held in Las Vegas, which is something that I don't think is going to really come into play much. It did last year for sure with the Lakers, obviously going all the way to win it, them having by far the most fans in the Las Vegas area, obviously with Los Angeles not too far away, but also with them just being the Lakers and having probably the most fans out of any team all over the country for the most part. But over here in Las Vegas, none of these teams really have any sort of presence. I'd imagine maybe the Rockets would have, I don't even know why, but just geographically speaking, either OKC or Houston would be the closest city to Las Vegas. I'd say the Rockets are probably a little bit bigger of a brand, but like I said, I don't think it's going to be a factor whatsoever, but it will be interesting to see for sure if one team just is traveling way better for this NBA Cup, getting a lot more fans in the stands there in Las Vegas. But yeah, so anyways, here in the West for the semifinals, we got OKC versus Houston, which they have actually split the series so far. Rockets winning the most recent matchup, which was just about a week ago. But I'm going to say the Thunder really get up for this NBA Cup. I really think that that's something that they're really vying for. So I'm going to go with the Thunder here. And that gives us an NBA Cup championship matchup of the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Atlanta Hawks. And I'm actually going to go with OKC to win this entire thing and be the 2024-25 Emirates NBA Cup champs. Yeah, as usual with my predictions, don't feel good about it, but that's what I'm going with. Hope you've been enjoying this NBA season thus far, as well as this NBA Cup. And I hope you have fun watching these bracket games because I think this is going to be a lot of fun. I think this was a really good decision adding this to the NBA season. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next video.